Okay, so welcome to the first meeting for KI 70303 information retrieval. So for the first course, um, the first meeting, we will look into the basic concept of information retrieval. So we look why we study information retrieval, what topic we will cover in this course, and how you will be evaluated for the course. For John and Puan City, you may know the um, assessment method. Okay. So the basic course objective is for me to share you about the basic concept and technique in information retrieval. And also you'll be looking at some of the hands-on um, practical that you will be do in building a document retrieval system. So in this course, you will learn the basic concept. At the same time, also we cover 3 or 4 practical on performing text classification, sentiment analysis, and also topic modeling. So the learning outcome, we will have 3. So the first one will cover the knowledge. For knowledge, for the knowledge, we explain the basic concept and technique in information retrieval. Basically, we are looking at the vector space model. Okay? So for this one, we will have 20% assignment and 20% midterm and 10% quizzes, which means that 50% of your assessment will be based on your knowledge, based on your understanding about information retrieval. And the second one is more into how do you use unsupervised and supervised machine learning technique in categorizing and also clustering your text. So you will do some practical. So 10% of your will coming from your practical lab. So I think 2 or 3 practical hands-on lab that you need to complete. And finally, the last one will be focusing on problem solving. So this one will be your final exam. So in the final exam, we assume that you know the basic concept and technique of information retrieval and how do you apply method in solving problems stated in your final exam. So even if you cover 50% full mark and 10% full mark in your lab, there's no guarantee for you to get full mark in your final exam. So if you really understand the basic concept and technique, then you can score. Because for you to get an A for this course is to get full mark for assignment, midterm, and quizzes 50%, and do all the lab 50%. And if you're able to answer half of the question in your final exam, then your grade will be A. Otherwise, will be lower than A. So the marks distribution will be like this: 20% midterm, 20% assignment, 10% quizzes. The quizzes you will need to take them online. Yeah, itel.ums.edu.my. You will have access to the quizzes, and you will also have 10% lab practical and 40% final exam. So this is the marks distribution for your course assessment. And there are so many reference if you try to Google. So this is two of the books that are, I think, can be used for reference, but most of the notes or discussion are based on the first one, based on the this one, or based on modern information retrieval. This book. And for the book, and the black one, they basically cover the algorithm and technique, and at the same time also they look at the distinct viewpoint based on the librarian and information science researcher. So basically, we are trying to understand how people interpret the information and how they use the information. But 60% basically we are trying to cover the algorithm and technique. Okay. So any question? Let me update this one. Last time we used the open committee, so I need to change this one. So this one is coming itelums.edu.my. So make sure you have access to that. If not, I think you need to go to JTMK to solve the problem, or to BPA. Okay. So any question before we proceed? So for tonight, what I will do, will cover the overview of the course, probably 45 minutes.
Doctor,
Yes,
when's the midterm exam date?
midterm exam supposed to be week 7, but that one is flexible. So if you
Okay.
look at the schedule, week 7 is the 28th of October, so should be the 4th of November. 4th of November.
November. Okay.
The, the timing will be flexible, so we will pick day where everybody ready and available take the exam like we did in last course.
Okay.
So not
Mm.
necessary to be in the 7th week, it could be on the 8th or 9th. So once you're ready, then you can have the midterm.
Okay.
So basically, the purpose of having the midterm is just to test your knowledge or your understanding about what you have learned so far, and also based on the assignment that I've given to you. So all the assignment, all the tasks given to you, you have to understand how to solve them. And the only way I can catch you copying from someone is based on your midterm. So midterm too, you have 20%, kan? Quite big marks lah. Any other question? Like John and City, you have studied data mining. For data mining, more or less, some of the concept we will apply in this information retrieval as well. For fifth, don't worry, because we will cover the basic concept also. But it will be like a revision for John and City lah. Okay, so we will look into these four main items for tonight. We look at what is information retrieval, what are we trying to solve in IR, and what do you uh, consider an IR system, and what are the influence of the web to the information retrieval research. Okay, so we look into information retrieval. So basically, we're dealing with four things, which is how do we represent the document? For example, you have journals, you have books, you have articles. Okay, how do you represent them in digital format? Okay, and how do you store them? Okay, once you store them, if you have many documents, and then how you organize them. Okay, and then how you access information. So basically, you will learn how do we represent the document in terms of binary, and then how we organize them, and then how we retrieve them in order to um, fulfill a certain query. So basically, we are looking at how do we perform the query. A query is just like you key in a keyword in a Google field text. So the early goal of the IR area they cover on indexing text and searching. Indexing text means you need to label them or easier for you to retrieve, because for each of the article and each of the document they must have certain kind of indexing for you to remember the article talking about computer science or economic and so on. Then by using the indexing, then we can search the document. Okay, but nowadays we're looking at far more advanced research. So we are talking about modeling, topic modeling, web search. How do you classify the text? How do you cluster the text? How do you design the user interface? How do you visualize the data? And then how do you perform filtering in order to remove irrelevant document, or filtering based on the language, Malay, English, or some other languages. Okay. So last time we only focused on English, but now each country they have their own method on how do they store and retrieve the document. Okay. So what we are trying to show here is that what are the stages that occur in the beginning during the 50s, and then how it evolved um, up until now. Okay, so the research start in 50s, where they focus on information retrieval, focus more on information retrieval. How do you retrieve a document or any information? And then um, in the 1962, then they started thinking like, how relevant is your retrieval? So they want to evaluate the quality of the result that you get from your retrieval. So they are looking at retrieval evaluation. So we will study this one also. How do we evaluate the um, retrieval result that we get? And in 1963, they published the first book of information retrieval. Okay, and then in 1960s also they introduced technique on how to represent the document. So remember just now, we say that information retrieval dealing with how do you represent the document in the digital format. So they introduced this technique, EFIDF, writing scheme. So this TF-IDF is used to represent document. We will study this one, don't worry. So this is how do you represent a document in digital format. Okay, next they are looking at how do you cluster the article, how do you cluster the document, how do you cluster the information, grouping them based on similarity of the content. So that is in 1971. So this person is very famous. They introduced the cluster hypothesis. And in 1978, they have their first conference on international conference in information retrieval. Okay, so that means more people have engaged into the information retrieval research. And in 1971, they also introduced a technique in how to represent the document based on the statistics. So they use probabilistic model. So they could use this TF-IDF, or they could use this probabilistic model in order to present each article that you have in your system. And in 1983, Charlton and McGill published a classic book. So they focus on the vector model. So this is similar to FIDF also. So basically, they use a vector model to represent the document that you have in your system. But for other industry, like for the library, they are looking at how do they adopt the IR system in order to retrieve the information. Okay? So in library, if you can recall that they use the catalog searching or card catalog system in which they have the card and then it tell you the information about the book, who's the author, who's the publisher, and then where do you keep the book. And also some of the keywords will be stored there, describe the content of the book. And nowadays they focus on how to improve the graphical user interface, how to use the electronic forms, because last time we used manual card. So now they have a system on storing the information about the document that they have. Okay, so hypertext feature is just a link to that particular article. Okay. Okay. Now we are looking at what is AR. What is the main issue that we are looking at AR? Okay. So basically, we are looking at how do we retrieve document from a large amount of storage. Basically, we call it web because since the introduction of the web, everybody can create their own content. Everybody can post their own website. So because of that, we have a lot of information on the web, but we do not have a way to gather the information and then retrieve the document. So due to the fact that we have the web, so the IR has gained a place with other technologies at the center of the stage. They become the main focus that everybody trying to get into research of IR. All because of the development of the website. Okay, so the actual problem that we are dealing in IR is that, example, if you want to find this, find all documents that address the role of federal government in financing the operation of the national road transportation operation. So if you give this task to a system, how does the system treat this input and give you relevant document, trying not to give you not relevant document. So for this, we have to look at what are the keywords, what are the basic keyword or the basic ingredient that we are looking to search in your storage. So we are looking at the role of the federal government. But at the same time, also we have this financing, and at the same time, also we have this conflict. So basically, we are looking at the role to finance the Amtrak. So how actually you get relevant document based on this. So basically, for this task, you have to type the query. So you need to type the query that would retrieve all the document that you are looking at here. Okay? So based on the information that you require, you need to transform them into query. So a query is basically a series of keywords that you use to search when you try the Google search. And sometimes they call it index term because for each document you have, they have keyword that describe the article. Okay, so a key goal of the IR system is to retrieve information that is useful or relevant to the user. So given this query, how do you make sure that the result returned to you is relevant or not relevant? How, how do you determine that? So that is what we're going to study. And we are looking at the degree of relevance because in trying to retrieve the document, we're looking at how is the degree of relevancy of the document. Because if we compare to normal database, structured database, for example, relational database, we are looking at exact matching. But in information retrieval, we're looking at how many percentage of that particular document is relevant with respect to the query. So we are looking at the degree of relevancy. What is the confidence level? High or low or medium confidence? So the notion of relevant is of central importance in IR. So we always look at the degree of relevancy. Okay. So let's consider a user who seek information on a topic of their interest. So what we need to do is we need to transform the information we need into query. So based on the query, then we can do the searching and querying. Okay. When you search for certain information, it also depends on your knowledge. How deep is your knowledge about certain things? Okay, because only based on your knowledge, then you can say that the document is not relevant. The document is not relevant can justify based on your background knowledge. However, if you do not know anything about the subject, then you cannot tell whether that article is relevant or not relevant. So you keep gathering all the information without able to tell which document is more relevant with respect to the query. So this is you. Okay. So you search for certain query. Okay. And the document collection will give you what you look for. And based on that, you will browsing. Yeah. If you do not know what you are looking at or what document is relevant with respect to your query, you will keep searching. You must know, you have to have the basic background of the subject that you're looking for. So we are looking at the comparison between information retrieval versus data retrieval. So this is between the database, this the relational database, this is structured database, um, um, unstructured. So this is unstructured. The unstructured are referring to database that store articles. Structured database referring to relational database in which you have row and column tables. So for the normal database, we are looking at exact matching. Example, if you still remember your database, you select name from this table where salary is greater than 2,000. So we are looking at exact matching. In information retrieval, we're looking at the degree of relevancy. How much, no, how relevant is the document with respect to the query. So you can say that data retrieval does not solve the problem of retrieving information about a subject or topic, because the data retrieval looking at exact matching. So we cannot say that in retrieving information, we are looking at the exact matching of subject or topic. We're looking at the content of the article. Okay? So that's the difference between information retrieval and data retrieval. Data retrieval, they looking for exact matching. In information retrieval, they are looking at the degree of relevancy. How relevant is that document with respect to that? So we will study that one given this query and given this document, how close they are. So we are looking at the distance. Distance tell you how similar they are. So we will study that one. Okay, now we are looking at the architecture of the IR system. Okay, so this is the basic high level software architecture of IR system. This is you key in your query here, and then they will process your query because they will tokenize your list of contents. So they will pick the term or concept that you are trying to look for, and then this is your database. So each of the document will have term that describe the article. Okay? So based on the query that you have here, based on the tokenized term that you have here, they will for matching and they will do the ranking here. This database is developed based on document that was scrolled from the web. Okay? So web crawler is another technique on how you can harvest the text from the web, and then you will store in your central repository. And each document you will be doing the indexing, meaning that each document will have keyword that describe the content of the document. So once you type the query, so they will give you certain result. So they will rank the document based on the similarity between your query here with the document that you have. So you will have a ranking here. That's why when you form the query using the Google search, in the first page, all of them seem more relevant compared to if you go to the next page, third page, and so on. So they have performed the ranking. How they perform the ranking, we will study in this course also. And this is the process of indexing and retrieving and ranking. So this is you here. You key in a query here. The text will be transformed and they will expand your query here or modify. And then whatever input you have here, they will compare with the term that they have in the document collection here. So all the document retrieved here will be stored here and they will perform the ranking based on the query that you have, and you will have this. But if you are not satisfied with this, then you will modify your query and you will go back here again. So this is the process of indexing. Indexing means you put the label, or call it indexing your article, and then later on, based on the query, you will try to retrieve the document, and then for all the result that you get, you will need to perform the ranking. Okay. So the last section of the session one is the web, because web has influenced or has motivated the research in information retrieval. Why? Because a lot of unstructured information are published every day, every hour, every minute. We have more unstructured document, and we do not have time to process all of them. So we can say that 80% of the data come from web, unstructured data. Okay, unstructured data. Unstructured data means text, in terms of text, video, images, structure. Okay, so web search is today the most prominent application of IR and its techniques. So if you can recall that the first search engine was what? Yahoo, right? And where is Yahoo now? So now the most powerful is Google. So Google use certain technique on how they ranking and indexing the article that they have for information retrieval. So because of the web, there are few major impact of the web on search. The first one is we need a crawler. Crawler is just a program is run based on the address HTTP. So just if you type any URL, you will have a landing page. So you can start from there. So any link to another text document on the hyperlink, they also will be crawled until the no more hyperlink to the other document. So the crawler is just basically a program that will harvest all the information on the web as long as they all connected through the hyperlink. Okay? The second major impact is we need large database. The size of the collection will be very, very big. The volume of user queries submitted on a daily basis will be very large because people will keep asking questions. So because of that, we need bigger or powerful computer. Performance and scalability become critical characteristic of the AR system. So we need supercomputer or server. The third major impact is due to the fact that we have large amount of information. That reason we can perform the prediction. So example like this, relevant versus retrieval with cosine normalization says that okay, the document length is it's here that when you have longer document, you will have higher degree of relevancy because, example, if you only have abstract or if you only have 2 or 3 sentences, you do not have enough content in order to say that this document is relevant. But if you have a full article and you have more text to analyze, then you can say that that article is not relevant and relevant with respect to the query. So with the development of the web, we can perform the prediction. And the fourth one is not only we are trying to retrieve the document, but we are looking at a certain answer like what is the price of the book, what is the price of McDonald's, what is the phone number of the hotel, who is Afif, who is John. So sometimes if you type your own name, so you want to know whether the Google can search your biography or not, and so on, so on. So not only the web become a place where they can publish anything, but people start looking at finding for other information. Yeah. Now they have Chat GPT. That one also has big influence on how do we perform our daily work. So basically, how does Chat GPT work? Basically, they are using the information retrieval that you will learn. So once you completed the course, then you know general idea how ChatGPT perform his work. Okay. The fifth major impact of the web search is web spam. Because when you have a lot of visitors to your website, you will get money from Google. But the only way for you to get more visitors is to trick them can find the information on your website. So they put a lot of keyword that can attract user to come your website. So this is what we call web spam. Okay, be careful because sometimes certain website they can launch some attack to your computer. So once you have visited the website, it will um, upload and then execute the program and can make your laptop slower. Or they can do phishing, like trying to get your personal details from your laptop. Okay. Some of the practical issue on the web are security. So we have so many connections, so many people share information. So we need to have security on the connection, privacy as well. So people want some privacy. They do not want to be exposed or data not be shared with other people. Copyright and patent right. This is more into when you share something on the web. Be careful that not sharing other people punya idea because in the state they have a very strict policy on sharing photos, taking photos, and so on. And also we have this scanning and optical character recognition. This is some of the tools that we can use in order to perform information retrieval more effectively. So this is some of the issue on the web. Okay, to summarize, this is what we have covered today. So next meeting we'll cover this and this and so on. So basically the first one will be this, and then we will study about the classic IR. Remember that this is how we present the document, how do we evaluate them, and then how do we form the relevant feedbacks, and then this is where we perform document and queries. How do we perform text classification? So these are covered. Okay. So slowly we will get into this. Okay. So any question?
No question.
Question. So I've taken your time 1 hour now, really 45 minutes. So my intention is just to have a short class so that you will not get bored and also you can follow the lecture more effectively. If I give you 2 hours lecture, paling Tuhan, just listen to me only. Okay, so we stop today. So we'll meet again. I will announce when we meet. Let me stop this one first.